That man is slow.
Welcome back to the Last Minute Fantasy Scramble. It has been some time. We had a little while off, a little bit of a break, but now today is the day of the NFL Draft, and this is going to be an exciting one. So we are here, not answering any of your questions today, but we are going to take a look over all these potential draft picks, all these prospects, and give our thoughts on each of them. So I'm Kevin K. Mac McCartney. Alongside me today, we got Bobby Digital Janis, we have Bud Stanio, and we have John Viveros. And we are ready to break down some football. So how you guys been? It's been a while. How about you, Bobby?
It's great to be talking about football, man. It feels like it's been a long time, but it's awesome that we're doing the video now too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Good to see the Julio Jones and Tyreek Hill repping in the background. And Bud, how's it going over with you?
Pretty good. Missing football a bit, but got baseball's back now, and we got some basketball and hockey, so that's a little bit better than last year when we had no sports. I was watching marble racing, so it's like so doing pretty good on that front. But doing all right. Been doing some research and keeping an eye on the draft. Really stoked for it, and hopefully we see some crazy moves, some crazy trades, and some college players going to some good teams.
Yes, sir. And John, how about you? Your Knicks aren't doing too bad right now, huh?
Not too shabby. 9-0 right now. It's time recording. We'll see how they do against Phoenix on Monday, which you guys will know. Which you guys will know when you guys see this. So Knicks playing well. Panthers hopefully clinching soon. Baseball, like Bud said, just getting back in the swing of it.
Yeah. That being said, as Bobby has mentioned plenty of times before on his new podcast, which I encourage you all to check out. Bobby, you want to give that a quick plug?
Yeah, the Bobby Digital Sports Podcast right now. You can find it on YouTube, coming soon to other platforms.
Yeah, for sure. As Bobby always says on that, football is king, and
NFL is king, baby.
We have the one of the most exciting times of the year, especially if you're a fan of 3 out of the 4 people in this room, and you have a pick in that top 5. Oh, the draft time is fun. It doesn't get much better than that. So we have a couple of Dolphins fans in here, Bobby and I. We have a Jets fan in here with that number 2 pick, most likely going to Zach Wilson. That sounds exciting. Bud doesn't care about the draft anymore. He's all about the playoffs. I think the Bills have the 3rd highest Super Bowl odds as of right now, I believe, behind the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. So must be looking good for you. But anyways, let's go right into it. So we know that we have one name that is at the top of every draft board. This is pretty much about as surefire as a pick as you're going to see. The Jaguars are still probably going to take 6 to 8 minutes to put the pick in anyways. I don't know what takes them so long every draft day when they have months to figure out who they want to pick, but still it takes a while for them to get that first pick in. It's like, come on. We already know you're going to pick Trevor Lawrence. But you know what, Bobby, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence, and how big of a player do you think that he is going to be at the next level?
I mean, I just think he's a winner. I think he's going to be a slam dunk for sure, franchise quarterback. I think he's a rare breed. I think quarterbacks like him only come around once every 5-7 years. I think about guys like Andrew Luck when I think about Trevor Lawrence in terms of the impact that they could have on your franchise. I think he's a winner, and Jacksonville's in a great position to nab their franchise guy. I think he's very mature off the field too. Never any character concerns, never any work ethic concerns. He's got the size, he's got the leadership. I think he has the total package.
He's got the hair.
He's got the hair for sure.
That flow.
And I think it's just a matter of now, obviously making that selection and getting him on the field and seeing what he does. But I think he's a winner. I think he's pretty surefire as they come, and that's pretty rare in today's NFL, finding that franchise quarterback.
Just not sure how much you can do with the Jaguars. You saw how bad that they were last year. But, Bud, what kind of difference do you think he's going to make for this team going into next season?
I think we'll see some like mild improvement at first. I don't see it being like anything super drastic. I do think it's going to take some time. They do have the pieces there, and having a really good quarterback is going to go a long way. It's going to improve James Robinson in terms of pass catching. You still have your deep threat guy in DJ Chark. You have your gadget type guy in Laviska Shenault. I know Conley is still there, but I think if they get like one more piece in terms of like wide receiver wise, that could really like bring them to the next level and give him all the weapons like right off the bat. I think he's going to be like leaps and bounds above the rest and some of the other guys. And I think this is like make or break for the Jaguars. You have the number one pick. You have something to do. Shad Khan said himself, he needs to, make sure that they put this team together correctly. And, Trevor Lawrence is a good step in the right direction. And they have another pick later on that they got from the Rams. So it's like, you need to make sure that you're capitalizing on both of those first round picks and, get the pieces that you need. Make sure you have a good offensive line. And, eventually, beyond that, they need to improve the defense to kind of help Trevor Lawrence out and turn him also in, be that good, scorer and game leader, but also a good game manager. And that goes, a long way from getting help from the defense. And, they definitely need some help after they've gotten rid of a lot of their good players. So they need improvement on that side too.
So, John, you are a Jets fan. And I know a lot of the talk, especially earlier on, was that Justin Fields was going to be this number 2 guy. But now you're seeing him slip more and more down in these draft projections. And it seems that the Jets seem kind of focused in on their main guy now, which is Zach Wilson out of BYU. I'm sure as a Jets fan, you've looked over plenty of footage of him. Maybe already pre-ordered your Zach Wilson jerseys, but I'd like to hear your take on this guy.
I have it in the cart. It's in the cart all ready to go. So for a couple years ago with Sam Darnold, I had 3 jerseys in the cart. I had Rosen, actually 4, sorry. I had Rosen, Allen, Baker, and Sam ready to go. And so obviously that one ended with Sam Darnold. No, but with Zach Wilson, though, I think you're getting this, like they call him the Mormon Mahomes, because everyone is looking for that next Patrick Mahomes, who is going to be this guy that can just completely just be so dynamic. And I think that dynamic quarterback is what this league is coming to. But I also don't feel like the stock should be so high into it. Like you're seeing all these top athletes like Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, even Trey Lance somewhat, who I'll be completely honest, I haven't watched enough on him to know truly how dynamic he is, but he also is younger too. So like you see like these prototypical like pocket quarterbacks like Mac Jones kind of fall off a little bit. But then like you look at the Super Bowl and like the pocket quarterback won. He just, again, that more team and everything. So I think at the end of the day, like Zach Wilson is definitely going to be the pick for the Jets at least, because that's what they want. That's kind of what they want to build towards in that LaFleur offense coming from San Francisco. But I think that I don't know. I just have this feeling that Mac Jones is going to be good. I'm just not sure yet.
So what do you say to the people who take a look at Zach Wilson and see that one of his NFL comps is Sam Darnold?
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary. His vision. He hasn't really played a lot of experienced teams, and when he has played the experienced teams, he struggled. He was 0-5 against like 10-win teams last year. I think it was 0-5, and he did not play well. You see the loss to like Coastal Carolina. See the loss they won the bowl game. They beat UCF. So I mean, throughout his career, like I say, he didn't play great against those better teams. And then like another thing, and then you just put him into a team that haven't really fixed a lot of the issues that Sam Darnold had. I'm definitely worried. I'm definitely wary of it. But at the end of the day, like I think from an athletic standpoint, I think he is better than Sam Darnold. But it's just gonna be just a wait and see. We got some more playmakers in Corey Davis. Take that with what you will. So definitely gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, so I remember hearing towards the end of last college football season that there's a chance Mac Jones might not go in the first round, but now his name is shooting up draft boards, and there's a lot of talk that Shanahan likes him at number 3. We know that San Francisco made that trade to get that number 3 draft pick with the Miami Dolphins. And Bobby, what do you think Shanahan is thinking? What do you think the San Francisco 49ers are thinking? And what move do you think that they take at the number 3 spot?
I mean, I thought that this was all a smokescreen with Mac Jones. I thought they were for sure going to draft Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields personally is the second best QB in this draft. I love his upside. I love the competition that he faced coming out of college and even beating Clemson in that playoff game. He showed, I think he put his skills on full display. And the fact that when you give up all that draft capital to go up to number 3, it's going to be for a special franchise quarterback. And Mac Jones doesn't have the most athleticism, maybe not have the highest upside. But then the more I think of it, more these reports coming out that they're now deciding supposedly between Mac Jones or Trey Lands. I think, look, you don't trade up to 3 without somebody in particular in mind. I mean, that's a pretty big haul, like I said. So I think they have one guy in their mind the whole time. And I think it is Mac Jones. I mean, I disagree with it, but it sounds like it really is going to be him. Kyle Shanahan is great with quarterbacks. We saw Matt Ryan at his best year with Shanahan. The Falcons made the Super Bowl that year. With Jimmy Garoppolo, he went to the Super Bowl. So, Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the NFL. And if he bombs this pick and he gets fired for some reason, he's going to find another head coaching job. So I think he's willing to go on and take the risk and get the guy that he wants. I could definitely see it working with Mac Jones. I just think that Justin Fields has higher upside. So I now think it's going to be Mac Jones.
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot there. I feel that Justin Fields is slipping down a lot further than I totally understand. I mean, just looking at him through college, this guy is a really good athlete. And I feel that he's such high potential. I would say that out of any of these other 4 guys that are being kind of interchanged in the top 5 QBs, I would say that personally, I think that Justin Fields has the highest upside of the bunch. And I feel that whatever team he ends up getting paired with is going to have a pretty bright future ahead. Then again, I'm guessing a lot of people, for whatever reason he's slipping, think that he might have the lowest floor of the bunch as well, and is why maybe he's moving down. But at the pick number 4 is where things really start to get interesting, because there's been talk of a lot of trade offers being moved to the 4th position, and more likely than not, if someone's trading for them, it's going to be for a quarterback, and whether that's one of these guys that we've talked about already. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you think the Falcons are going to do with that number 4 position and who might possibly move in there to get a QB. And please, 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 please don't draft Kyle Pitts. Please, as a Dolphins fan, please don't draft Kyle Pitts.
Please don't do it.
Well, I would say that anything is possible at this point. After the news broke that the Falcons are considering chopping Julio Jones, anything is on the table. So that's actually one of the things I've been thinking about the most today. I was like, okay, so if let's say that they do trade him, hypothetically, who's going to be the front runner for that, and what's that going to do for the number 4 pick? So it's like, okay, well, you get rid of Julio, you still have Calvin Ridley, and but you can still get Pitts and still have, like, another. He's a tight end, but let's be honest, he's a really good receiver too. He's going to run tight end sets and throw blocks occasionally. But so you have that option, but what is stopping the Falcons from trading Julio, getting picks, and then trading the 4 and getting more picks and doing what the Dolphins are doing and just building assets? And they're saying one of the front runners for Julio might be the Dolphins just because of the amount of capital that they have. And so anything is on the table. Pitts is the consensus pick for a lot of people. I'm willing to think that they're going to go that way if they don't trade it, just because he's elite. There's no point in going for a quarterback because the best three are going to be off the board, and they just extended Matt Ryan through 2022. So, I think Pitts makes the most sense. I don't see them being really a playoff caliber team again this year. It doesn't happen that fast, not with the hardships that they've had to deal with. But this kind of helps them get ready, and then opens the door for them to either get a later quarterback or look for one next season. So, like I said, if they're picking at 4 and they don't trade it, I do think that they go Pitts. It's the right move. Dude's a monster. But I'm just really interested what happens with Julio Jones. That's the only thing that's really on my mind now.
Yeah, and before we get into that 5th pick with the Bengals, Bobby, I see you got the Julio jersey behind you. I know he's always been one of your favorite players. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I mean, it's kind of confusing to me, because, it's like I feel like I'm confused about what they're gonna do, because to me, if I were the Falcons, what I would do is the reason why they're considering even trading Julio is a lot of it is because of the cap situation and the fact that the last few years he really hasn't been able to stay healthy. So I believe in my lifetime he's one of the best receivers I've ever watched in my generation. But he's getting older now, and maybe he wants to play for a contender. But in terms of Atlanta, it's like if I were them, I would go young. Wouldn't have extended Matt Ryan. I would have traded him, and I would have drafted a quarterback, and then, like Bud was talking about, they have a lot of holes, and I would acquire draft capital and rebuild and try to fill those holes, especially defensively. And Arthur Smith coming in, a lot of times when teams bring a new head coach, sometimes they want to rework the whole situation. But in terms of Julio, man, I mean, I really still kind of processing. Like Bud, I've been thinking about it all day. I don't really know what to think about it specifically yet, and it's going to be a wait and see thing because again, this can't happen until after June 1st. So I think a lot of it might be clear once they make that draft pick. But in terms of Julio, man, if he does get traded, I mean, I think there's some teams that could use him a really good fit. But the key is that team has to be ready to win now because Julio is obviously older. He's having trouble staying healthy now. He's definitely on the back 9 of his career, and he deserves a ring in my opinion. So he's got to go to a team that's ready to win now and needs receiver help, that final piece to kind of get them over the top. And there's some teams that are, I think, in that conversation, but it's still kind of a wait and see thing right now.
Are the Dolphins in that conversation?
I don't know, man. I think so. What do you think, K-Mac? I don't think so, man. I think I would have liked. I said from the beginning I would have liked us to sign Kenny Galladay.
Yeah,
I don't. Who's only 26 years old. Julio's out of his prime, man.
Yeah, if the Dolphins end up getting a Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts and could throw Julio Jones into that mix with him and the other guys that the Dolphins have with acquiring Will Fuller, Devontae Parker coming in to not needing to be that main guy, I think that could definitely help him. But if you could get that combination and fit Julio Jones into that mix, then I would like that. Just because at this point, and especially knowing this as a guy who owned Julio Jones very frustratedly last year, it's hard to know whether he's going to play week to week. Every single week, he's questionable with a hamstring injury, and I don't think that's going to end anytime soon. So, but when the guy's out there, he is a producer. He is clearly one of the most talented guys, one of the most talented wide receivers in the league, but he's also at the tail end of his career, and you could see that the body is slowly breaking down on him. And there is a whole young crop of younger wide receivers that are coming into the league. The rookie class this year is going to be incredible. Like, just seeing these athletes that are coming out now, including guys like Kyle Pitts, who I guess there are no guys like Kyle Pitts. It's just Kyle Pitts out there.
Just Kyle Pitts.
is, I don't even know. I don't feel you could describe him as a tight end, but I don't feel you could describe him as a wide receiver either. He's basically a human cheat code. And he's a guy kind of like what Kelsey is developed into, or a Gronk back in the day, that is just an absolute matchup nightmare. And ideally, I would just love to see the Dolphins get him. But we'll get to the Dolphins in a minute. But first, John, I wanted your thoughts on the Bengals at number 5 because they have a decision to make also. They could.
Yeah, they have a huge decision to make, and I think a lot of that depends on what happens with 4. Like do they go, like, it depends a lot with the Falcons. Like the Falcons could very well go quarterback. They need a quarterback. If they go Pitts is definitely BPA at that point. Because he's hands down the 4th. I think he's even, honestly, like, if the Jets had kept Darnold and went Pitts at 2, I would have been okay with that, to be completely honest. Because I think he's just that much of a, like you said, he's a cheat code. Like, dude, 6'6", 240, and he can run routes like a receiver. Like that's unreal. Regardless though, which I think that's what Atlanta should take. The Bengals have a big choice though, because they go any of the receivers. Jamar Chase, he had he played, he would have probably won the Heisman this year. Hands down was the best receiver. Opted out. Devonta Smith, obviously a Heisman winner. Jalen Waddle had injury concerns, but he's a stud. Even played in that national championship game a little bit. And then you have like the O lineman in Penei Sewell, who's just an absolute monster. And they need help. They need to protect Joe Burrow. Saw it last year. I mean, went down with a horrible knee injury. It's hard to say. Like, it just depends. I don't think they go Sewell because I think he's definitely fallen off people's draft boards a little bit as you get closer to the draft. O-linemen who you say, oh yeah, this guy's a bona fide top 2 pick. O-linemen and receivers as well, they fall down a little bit. I think it's just between which receiver they like best and who they think will complement Joe Burrow. And why not get the man who he won the national championship with, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm seeing this meme floating all the way out there with just showing the close-up on Joe Burrow's scar and saying, oh, what, you're not going to get me a lineman yet?
Yep, definitely. Like I said, like Sewell's a beast. And even later on, the next rated, I think the next highest rated one after him is Slater. Sorry, Slater's 14.
Yeah, and
the guy
there's some people who project Slater going even higher than Sewell in some drafts.
I honestly think that Sewell's gonna be the big faller, and I think he honestly might fall all the way to the Dolphins. Or not, sorry, to the Dolphins, to the Giants at 11. I think it is. I think people like Slater a lot better. Just was more, I think was more consistent over his career. Obviously, he's a senior, a little older. That's just my opinion on the matter. I think they're both great. Wherever they go, they're gonna be solid. But it just comes down to who they like. I mean, all the random questions that GMs ask and everything, like who's their guy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and yeah, Burrow probably wants to be reunited with Jamar Chase. Who knows? Maybe that's what Chase wants also. But it's hard after you see what happened to Burrow last year, after you saw what happened to Mixon last year, or anybody trying to run, or basically that Bengals offense needs protection for him. If they want to keep their young stud QB healthy, they need to have protection around him. Yeah, it's hard to turn down a talent like Jamar Chase. And if Pitt slides them, yeah, that'd be really hard to turn him down. But I feel that the Bengals have a really good wide receiver core as it is. And I feel that they have a bunch of younger guys who can really show potential. Yeah, I feel that adding Jamar Chase would put them over the edge and give them an elite wide receiver core. But it doesn't matter who you're throwing to if you can't get the ball out of your hands. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I guess that's also wishful thinking for me, hoping that either Chase or Pitts slips down to number 6. But I think that the Bengals would do good to draft a lineman at this position. Whether it's Sewell or Slater, if I had to guess, Sewell would be going here at that 5 position. But that's just me. Now we move.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. Now we move on to the number 6 pick. The Dolphins did a number of trades, moving from 3 to 12 back up to 6, meaning that they have their eyes on some person as well. Maybe even a couple of options in case one of them slides. But Bobby, Dolphins fan, what do you want the Dolphins to do with this pick, and what do you think they're going to do?
I mean, it's got to be Pitts or Chase. It has to be, in my opinion. Number one need for us, in my opinion, is weapons. We need weapons. We need that alpha. And to me, Pitts and Chase are a tier above the other receivers in this draft class. And you need somebody that, especially with a young QB that can bail your quarterback out, somebody that is a true threat for the defense, a true bona fide alpha number one option. To me, Will Fuller is not that. That's why I wish we would have signed someone like a Kenny Golladay. But you're seeing in the NFL these teams that are aggressive and these teams that have these alpha guys are very successful at a lot of times. I mean, look what Buffalo did. Acquiring Stephon Diggs, becoming that true number one threat, and that worked wonders for their offense. The Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, stuff like that. And I think that's our most number one need. So it has to be Pitts or Chase. Now, what I think they're going to do is, I think if Pitts or Chase are there, I think they are going to take them. It does worry me a little bit, seeing as how Brian Flores is very defensive-minded, and how, like last year even, we wanted a running back in the early second round, and they continue to go defense and offensive line. So that does worry me a little bit, that they might be a little more defensive-minded. But there were stretches last year where our problem was the offense, where we were just too stagnant. Yes, there were some injuries, but even fully healthy, there wasn't anybody that can take the top off the defense, that true number one threat. So to me, it's clear it's got to be Pitts or Chase. If neither of them there, I say trade down to maybe 9 with Denver, and they can maybe trade up for their quarterback, and then we can get a Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle there, who should still be there, at least one of them, and then we can acquire draft picks in the process. But that's pretty much where I'm at with the Dolphins.
So if neither of those guys are available, do you feel that picking anybody else up at that point would be a reach to their position of need, or do you think that it'd be worth grabbing a Sewell or a Slater there?
No, I think it's best to trade down and to get a Smith or a Waddle. I think we need our number one pick. Our first pick of the first round has to be an offensive weapon, wide receiver, someone like that. We have holes, of course, priorities, but this has to be, in my opinion, the number one priority for us. Especially because, look, you selected Tua 5 overall last year, and then all the moves you've done this year indicate that you're going all in on Tua this year. So you've seen the blueprint. You need to give your quarterback all the tools to succeed if he's going to be your franchise guy. With the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, they gave him weapons. They gave him a good structure. Now they're signing these offensive linemen. They're making trades. They're letting them hit the ground running. You need to give your young quarterback help. Give him all the tools to succeed. That has to be the number one option for me. And if not, I'm not going to take Sewell or anybody else in that position. I would trade down and get Smith or Waddle, who should still be there at 9 at that value pick.
Yeah, I feel at this point, like coming out of the draft, it seemed like one of the number one receivers, like who could have even possibly gone to the Dolphins at 3, was going to be that reunion and getting Smith with Tua again. But he's fallen down draft boards, especially as you start hearing what his size numbers are actually coming to be, like in the 160s. And the major concern for him is his size. He's a great route runner. He's the Heisman Award winner. But would you be upset if they just straight up took Devontae Smith at number 5? Or at number 6,
you mean 6?
Sorry.
No, I wouldn't be upset. I would be upset if we went defense or Penei Sewell at number 6. I wouldn't be totally upset with that, no, because I think that Smith and Waddle do have the potential to develop into elite players, to develop that number one option. But I think Pitts and Chase are more slam dunks. I mean, you look at highlights of Kyle Pitts. I mean, he can go up and get the ball over 2 defenders, and at the same time, he's in the open field. He has the speed and the quickness to separate and score. And when we're faced with like a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, Tua's under pressure, and you need someone to bail your quarterback out as that bona fide number one option. You need someone like that. So, no, I wouldn't be upset with taking Smith at 6. I do like Smith. But again, I think that
you could get Smith or Waddle by trading down more than likely. I think Pitts and
Chase are a tier above. And, yeah, I wouldn't be upset. I'd be upset if it's anybody else besides a receiver or Pitts. Like if it's Penei Sewell or if it's defense, I would be upset with that.
All right, so that is enough Dolphins talk for now. But let's move on to the number 7th pick, which currently belongs to the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions, they're a mess, and they are definitely in a rebuilding mode. They got a new QB. They have, let's just say their team's got a little bit manlier over the offseason as well, with the addition of Dan Man Campbell. I forgot. I think his
it's not gonna work, man.
His name tag says was it the dude? But, yeah, he is ready to go and get to work with these guys, and I'm not sure what their future is looking like. I don't agree with a lot of the moves that they made over the offseason. And yeah, they lost their stud wide receiver who played 30 minutes last season. I don't know. But what do you see the direction of the Detroit Lions, and how do you think they're going to take with this 7th pick?
Your guess is as good as mine, man. Everything you said, pretty much. I'm with you. We don't really know the direction of this team. That's we never really knew what was going to happen with Matt Patricia, except failure and sharpened pencils. But it's like there are so many needs. I mean, they definitely need wide receivers. I think they do have a good running back in DeAndre Swift, but everything else is just horrid there. Offensive line needs help. You need a receiver to replace the guys that are gone. I do believe Marvin Jones was also gone from there too, right? So it's like, and Kenny G being gone. I mean, not that he played. So now you have a choice, and I mean, with what we've already discussed and receiver wise, who's there, I think this is where we're going to see one of these elite wide receivers go, and just you kind of hope that it doesn't hamper their production or their output as this new regime is starting to figure things out. So I mean, does Waddle end up falling in there? Does Devonta Smith end up falling in there? I mean, that's not to say that they're not going to have some kind of success with Jared Goff, but it's still worrisome. And I mean, if they don't go that direction, are they going to go and get like a lineman or somebody on defense, and or are they going to trade it? We don't know, because right now it's too early to even know what Man Campbell has in mind, besides like biting kneecaps and talking all this crazy stuff that like some people are hype. I'm curious, but I mean, honestly, anybody who starts talking like this ends up like just getting smacked around, and they are not like in an easy division at all. So it's like you need to start figuring things out and start slowly starting to build yourself up. But I think this is one of the things definitely to keep an eye on, especially this team, because we need to know, is it going to be one of these top wide receivers, and if so, it's definitely going to be something to monitor, because I know we're not supposed to talk about fantasy, but like I'm definitely interested if Waddle or Devonta Smith ends up going there, because I'm going to kind of fade them a little bit, because I'm too sketchy on that, and I don't know what their production's going to be. So, it could be one of those things that we definitely need to monitor and keep an eye on, just for player sake and development sake and fantasy sake.
Yeah, and I believe that the Detroit Lions have as abysmal a future as any team in the NFL right now. I don't see many bright spots for that team, and they have a lot of holes to fill. So whether they go receiver there and take one of those Alabama guys, or maybe take a lineman if Sewell's still available, or possibly Rashawn Slater. Like you said, it could be anything at this point, because they have a lot of things to work on. And next, I want to talk about Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers. John, what's your thought of, first of all, how he's going to do in this new system? Get a nice little reunion with Robbie Anderson. And, what do you think that the Panthers are going to do here?
I'm excited for Sam Darnold. I mean, he needed a change of scenery. He needed someone who actually would help him out. Matt Rule is a candidate for the Jets, and we went with Adam Gase. So, I mean, he finally gets to see like what happens. I think he's going to be great. I think him going back with Robbie Anderson, who was definitely his favorite target. He obviously gets one of the best running backs in football in Christian McCaffrey. So that'll help him out. I think we'll actually see what Sam Darnold is made of. And we'll see what Carolina does to bring him in some help. Could go O-line. This could be a Penei Sewell situation, Rashawn Slater, depending who's up. Or we could just go next BPA, which very well could be another one of the study receivers, like were they 8 or 7? 8, yeah. 8, they have Micah Parsons as the linebacker, which, I mean, they do need linebacker. They need defensive help a little bit. But, I mean, yeah, it just is going to come down to who's up. Maybe reach on Devonta Smith here. But there's also talk, too, that they're not afraid to go quarterback. So, I mean, could see Trey Lance, could see Mac Jones. Going to be definitely an interesting situation. Just we'll see just how much faith they have in Sam Darnold by what they grab here.
Yeah, so at this next spot, this is a team that more than likely is going to go quarterback, and there's a lot of talk from them possibly trying to move up as well, and that's in the Denver Broncos. Currently, right now, have the number 9 spot. And Bobby, what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, I think they're a very strong candidate to trade up for a quarterback. I think not only, well, Denver, first of all, they have a good defense. They signed Kyle Fuller from the Bears. They re-signed Justin Simmons, their safety. Von Miller's coming back. Bradley Chubb's coming back. Vic Fangio, their head coach, is a very defensive-minded, very good defensive coach. And they have some good young wide receivers. Cortland Sutton's going to be coming back from injury. KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, and then Melvin Gordon, solid running back as well. And that division, when you're looking at that division, I mean, you've got to face Patrick Mahomes twice a year, now Justin Herbert, and you look what the Chargers are doing, revamping their whole staff, signing some offensive linemen. I think they're going to go offensive lineman this draft as well, maybe receiver. But that's a tough division, and I think you need a quarterback there to be your franchise. I think that's what Denver's missing. They were actively pursuing Matthew Stafford and Deshaun Watson before that all happened. So to me, I think Denver definitely wants a quarterback. I think they're going to move on from Drew Lock. Drew Lock I don't think he's shown that he's capable. I mean, it still might be early to tell. I'm not sure. But all the indications from Denver, based on their actions or whatnot, tells me that they're at least interested. They want a quarterback. So yeah, I think they could be a strong consideration to trade up to. I think I could see a guy like them trading up for a Trey Lance or a Mac Jones, trading up with Atlanta possibly for 4.
Yeah, so we've talked about a few of the QBs, but I'd like to get a little deeper onto both of those last guys you mentioned, starting with Trey Lands coming out of North Dakota State. But I'd like to hear your opinions on what you think this guy's going to be doing at the next level, depending on the team he goes to as well. But he's another guy who definitely has potential, and his name's been all over the place, seeing him with a lot of different landing spots. But what do you think he could do at the next level?
It's a question mark. I do think though that he has the potential to be a good quarterback from because one of his weaknesses is experience, right? He doesn't have a lot of game time, but in the good sample size that we did have of his 2019 season at North Dakota State, he threw for almost 3,000 yards, 28 interceptions would be terrible, 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, and which is wild. His quarterback rating was 180, and he played 16 games. He balled out, and he's a good rusher too. So having the dual threat quarterback is really great, and he's a super athletic dude. And he has, he's able to make really good decisions. But I think that whoever does end up getting him is going to get him a lot later than the other quarterbacks, and I think that he has the potential to, ball out. It depends where he goes. It depends who his offensive coordinator is. Now, if somebody were say, hypothetically, the Patriots were to go and get Trey Lance, and Trey Lance plays behind Cam Newton for a year, it kind of learns a little bit. I'm not saying Cam Newton's a great example of what the Patriots offense is, but working with Josh McDaniels and learning behind a veteran quarterback like that, I think sky's the limit. I think he can really develop into something nice. But it depends where he goes, and he didn't play a whole lot in 2020. So, I mean, we only have that one sample size, so we don't really know what the next level is going to be, but hopefully he gets somewhere good and he can develop. Like I said, I mean, the value on getting that guy a lot later in this draft, it could really pay dividends for whoever ends up picking him up.
All right. So next, I want to talk about the number 10 pick, and we got the Dallas Cowboys, and there's a lot of talk about them going after maybe one of these couple of elite cornerbacks that are out there. But John, I'd like to hear your thought on what them boys do with number 10.
Yeah, I think the cornerback is the popular spot. A lot of people think a trade could be happening here, but I think you got to go with the best cornerback. They definitely need one. They need to help that defense. They re-signed Dak and everything. I think did Shaun Lee retire? Did they let him go today? Because I saw something on Twitter. I didn't look too much into it. So I mean,
he retired. He retired.
Yeah, that's what it was. I knew I saw something. I just didn't know what it was. I know he's fallen a little bit, but I think Patrick Surtain II or Junior, whatever he calls himself, I think he's the best corner in the draft. I know, like I said, I know he's fallen a little bit, but playing in Alabama, and I mean that defense was sick, and he was great last year too. So I'd like to see them go there. Caleb Fairley out of Virginia Tech's another solid pick. Definitely climbed up a little bit. And then another former pro, Asante Samuel Jr. Just all of them, just apparently. A lot of people talking about him as well out of Florida State. Florida State wasn't great, not gonna lie. They were not a good football team, but he was probably one of the few bright spots, at least in the cornerback section for the Cowboys.
Yeah, another guy who may be the best defensive player in the draft is J.C. Horn. Not sure if he is going to slip all the way down to number 10, but that dude is talented. He's a great coverage guy, and I think whatever team gets him is going to get themselves a nice lockdown corner for years to come. So I definitely say that's another guy to look at.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's like I said, like Surtain and Fairley are both like they're tall. They're both 6'2", a little over 6'2", both and long too. Horn is just a little shorter at 6'1". But no, yeah, J.C. Horn is definitely went under the radar a little bit playing at South Carolina. Saw a tough SEC schedule. Good bit of experience. But no, yeah, the corner is definitely a lot deeper than you realize. Like when you look at some of the names here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of seconds and juniors out there, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So next, I want to go over to pick number 11, and that is the New York Giants. And Bobby, I heard you, or one of you guys were talking about somebody potentially slipping down to the Giants earlier.
Slater.
But yeah, what do you think that the Giants do here at number 11? And what do you think they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think Slater's definitely an option. I think offensive line. If not that, I think defense. John was talking about the corners. There's some really good corners here in this round or in this draft, top heavy. I love all of those corners. And they Giants seem to have a more defensive mind. Joe Judge, they might go corner as well. Maybe Micah Parsons, great edge rusher. I think he's the best defensive player, one of the best defensive players in the draft. He might fall, and the Giants could go there. I think it's either defense or offensive line. I love the Giants supporting cast, what they did bringing in Kenny Golladay. They have Slayton now behind him, Sterling Shepard's still there, and then Saquon's coming back healthy. For them, it's really going to be about Daniel Jones, and they seem committed to him for this year. I'm not sure if he's the answer or not, so they're maybe a dark horse to go out and get a quarterback. But I think if Slater falls, I think it's him. If not, maybe BPA on defense for the Giants in a pretty open but could be competitive division.
Yeah, I know. To me, it seems like they're kind of content with Daniel Jones for the time being, especially with giving him that nice new weapon with Kenny Golladay and seeing how he's going to fit in with that system. Get Saquon Barkley back. I'm interested to see what the Giants end up doing. There's even some talks about them going possibly after one of these Alabama wide receivers if they're still available. And that would really give them a strong offense and give Daniel Jones plenty to work with. That sort of like we were talking about with Tua earlier. If at this point he can't produce with those kinds of weapons, then you have no excuses. Because if you could surround him with that kind of talent and just give him that to work with, then it's at this point Daniel Jones it's proving time for him. So next, I want to move over to the Philadelphia Eagles, and they got some work to do as well. What do you think that they are going to do with this 12th pick, Bud?
I'm going to stick with the theme of defense here. I almost think that they really need to do that. If they're not going, not going to go offense, they need to get one of these elite guys on defense because, they play in a very tough division. I'm going to harp this like a lot. Like the defense, or I mean the offense in the NFC East was just all over the place last season, but now it's kind of changing because Dak's going to come back and you're going to play him twice a year, and now you're going to have Ryan Fitzpatrick playing for the Washington Fighting Footballs. So we don't know like how that's going to go, and if you want to win these games and you want to win this division that apparently is easy to win, and we just talked about the Giants and they go offense, you're going to have to go defense. So, I mean, if Surtain is there, I don't think he will be because I'm almost certain that he's going to go to the Cowboys. You might be able to get we talked about him earlier, J.C. Horn, or maybe even Micah Parsons. Yeah, I mean, you have plenty of options here, but it also has something to do with who the starting quarterback's going to be too. I'm getting really sick and tired that they're saying that they don't know who it's going to be, and Jalen Hurts is going to have to enter a competition. If they end up doing that and Jalen Hurts doesn't become the starting quarterback, then Philly's just like done. They're dead to me. They need to let him go and let him rip because the couple games that we did see him, he could play. So like, what's the problem here? So, I mean, if they're not going to do something to benefit him on offense, and they need to go defense and make it a little bit better. Because I thought their defense wasn't actually half bad last season. And I mean, if you want to get it Philly back to being an elite defense, you're a good piece or two away. And adding a good linebacker or a shutdown corner is really going to go a long way to helping them secure the division. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we are starting to get pretty tight on time now, so I want to start ripping through these next picks and see what your thoughts are on each of these. Starting with John with number 13, we have the Chargers. Herbert came out of an amazing rookie season, and now what's he going to do in year 2? Is he going to be able to take the Chargers to the next level, get them into the playoffs? What are they going to do to surround him with talent?
I think this one, like we were talking about with Burrow, any of these young quarterbacks, you got to protect them. I think we see O-line here. Maybe if one of Slater or Sewell, maybe Sewell keeps falling or Slater is up, maybe they both end up falling because people go there. Some other teams go other directions. You see one of those two, or Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech, I think is a solid choice as well. But then also the defensive side of the ball, we talked about it, Micah Parsons. We talked about how deep the cornerback class is as well. Maybe it's Asante Samuel Jr. here as well. Definitely a lot of options. But I would like to see them go on the O-line. Just protect your investment. He's your meal ticket. Got to protect him as best you can.
Absolutely. Now at number 14, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Bobby, how do you think that they're handling this at number 14?
Yeah, to me it's clear their offense has some studs. Zimmer's a defensive guy. Their defense took a nosedive last year. It's got to be, to me, it's going to be one of those edge rushers, Owe, Phillips, Ogilari, or one of those CBs. Zimmer especially, he's a defensive coach. So to me, I think they should go defense, and I think they will.
Yeah, their offense has tons of pieces, and they have maybe one of the best wide receiver groups in the game. And, yeah, I think that their defense is really where they need to go. Now, number 15, if they still hold on to this, or there's a lot of talk about them possibly moving up, we have the New England Patriots. A lot of the talks seems to be about them picking a QB, but it's hard. Like, there's a decent chance that if they don't move up, there could be 5 QBs picked before the number 15 spot. But Bud, what do you think that the Patriots are doing?
Yeah, it's a big question mark. A lot of rumors rumbling. They're saying that they might try to take a run at getting Jimmy Garoppolo back from San Francisco. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but I think it's possible that they are going to go quarterback. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they went something else, just because Bill Belichick. But so, I mean, really, is it going to be Trey Lance or is it going to be Mac Jones? Because I mean, I really think those are going to be the guys that are available. I know Mac Jones was super great with the Alabama offense, and he balled out. He's a great quarterback, but a lot of these Alabama quarterbacks don't translate too well. This is not a knock on like Tua or Jalen Hurts. I think they're both pretty decent quarterbacks, but who's another good Alabama quarterback that's come out besides those two guys? Like I'm always going to be like really skeptical on anybody that comes from that program, because I mean the last quarterback that went pro was AJ McCarron and he did nothing. So I'd be a little skeptical and a little dicey on that. But I mean, then again, usually they know what they're doing. But after losing Tom Brady, they need a system guy and a guy that can be a game manager, because that's pretty much the game that the Patriots play. So I think Mac Jones might be a good shot, but I'm really like sketchy on that at best.
All right, and at number 16 we have the Arizona Cardinals. John, what are your thoughts on them?
I think this has to be quarterback, definitely defense. You got to replace Patrick Peterson. Just lost him to Minnesota. I think they have to be going on the defense side of the ball. This team is definitely win now mode. They're gonna contend with the Rams in the West. I think it's gonna be and then at the end of the day, you have all those. There's a lot of offense in that division, a lot more offense in the division than you realize. Between Seattle doesn't really play defense anymore. They got a lot of shootouts. The Rams definitely upgrading with Matthew Stafford. And then even San Francisco, when they're healthy, that team is very, very good. They were just snake band last year. So I think the side of the ball is definitely where they go. Got to replace that shutdown corner you had in Patrick Peterson. Greg Newsom is someone who people have been talking about. I've seen again. I think it just depends on who's available. Tyson Campbell from Georgia is another name as well to look at.
All right, and Bud, I'm going back to you for number 17 because I'm saving 18 for Bobby. Raiders at number 17.
I wouldn't want to talk about the Raiders anyway, man. So,
so I'll let you do it, Bud. I think you're muted over there.
Oh, I was hitting the wrong button. My bad. Yeah, kind of bummed I didn't get Najee Harris because that's who I think is going to go to the Dolphins if they're smart. But then again, we don't know. But Raiders, Raiders, I don't know, man.
Sorry, they the short straw.
Yeah, no. So their offense, I think, is like okay in an okay spot. I guess this is
that's a really good way to describe it. Okay, in an okay spot.
In an okay spot, but I guess they're giving Derek Carr his like fourth or fifth chance. So who knows what's going to happen with that? But I mean, they have the running back situation. Okay, their wide receiver situation is decent. Darren Waller's a beast. So I mean, I think they have to go defense here. I mean, probably best available linebacker or corner. I mean, I don't know if they want to go, Owusu Koromoa from Notre Dame. He's pretty awesome. Or, like I said, whoever's actually available at that point. Because, I mean, I think people are just basically going to be trying to plug their pieces and get whoever is the most athletic and best player at that point. I'm not really excited for the Raiders and their little experiment that they got going there. So, I mean, yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, they're definitely a team that I could see falling into that middle of the pack trap where you're not good enough to make the playoffs, but you're not bad enough to get a top pick. And they are setting themselves up nice for a good long tenure of mediocrity. So, we got the number 18 pick. This is the second pick that the Dolphins are going to have. And, Bobby, I know you're big on these skill position players. And, like Bud has said, ideally, it'd be nice to have Najee Harris. What do you think?
Yeah, Bud pretty much said it perfectly, man. If we're smart, I think we should take Najee Harris. I'm not content with going into the season with just Myles Gaskin and Malcolm Brown. You need balance in the NFL, especially with a younger QB. You need to have threats all over the field to succeed. Your defense is already in good hands, in my opinion, and Brian Flores, he's one of the best defensive coaches in football. He's proven that even before when he was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots. It's clear that you need to bolster your offense. Talked about it earlier at 6. So to me, I say go Najee Harris. I know there is value a little bit later on. I like Javonte Williams. You could get him in the second or third round. So I wouldn't be totally upset if we didn't take Harris. I wouldn't mind if we did take like an edge rusher that maybe might fall to help spruce our defense up as well. So I wouldn't be totally upset with that. But I would prefer Najee Harris there. I think he's just the best running back in this class, and I think he's a game breaker.
Yeah, and the Dolphins wouldn't have to look too far for some edge rush talent because there's a lot of talk of one of those Miami guys moving to them there, whether it be Jalen Phillips or whoever. But that could be a potential spot. They're definitely looking, like we said, with the Dolphins have a very defense mentality, but at the same time, I think that's where their strength is and what they really need to do to get to that next level is improve upon their offense. And if they can come out of this first round with one of those top offensive threats, hopefully whether it's a Pitts or a Chase, but even if it's a Waddle or Smith, who's still at most other drafts, I would love to have one of those guys early on. I think we got any one of those top 4 receivers would be amazing for the Dolphins to come out with. And if they could get one of these like hard-hitting, like true running backs to come out, whether it be Harris or Etienne, I feel that I would be happy with that. Ideally, I'd like that over an edge rusher, but I totally see why they would, and I could see it very likely being that they'll go with an edge rusher at that spot. So let's move on to pick number 19. We have the Washington, I think, but would you call them the flying footballs?
Fighting footballs.
Fighting footballs. The Washington Fighting Flying Football Team. Yeah, John, you haven't talked in a while. Let's hear what you have to say about them.
I mean, it's a bad division, so you're gonna see what comes out of it. Definitely need some help in the O line. There's definitely a big fall off after the first 3 that we've mentioned. Sewell, Darisaw, and Slater. Definitely big fall off there. I think a lot of this will depend on what happens with Philly, Giants, and Dallas, because they literally all pick back to back. If we see a lot of offense, I think Micah Parsons, who we've talked about as being one of the best players in the draft. He's high rated, but he's definitely fallen a little bit too. So if that's an absolute steal if you get him at 19 for Washington. Anyone, just I think defensive side of the ball, specifically in the linebacker, because that front 4 is pretty solid. You add to it too, good solid edge rusher or a linebacker. Owusu Koroboa from Notre Dame is another good one. He's getting a lot of talk lately as well.
All right, so we do have, if we want to get through this first round, we have 12 more picks to go, and we got about 3 minutes left, so if we want to try to hit this hour mark. So we're going to try to get through this as fast as we can. So, Bud, tell me what you got on the Chicago Bears at number 20.
Nothing good.
All right, next.
Yeah, go on. I mean, they need a lot of work. Don't be surprised if they pick some random quarterback to try to help save whatever they got going on over there. It's a hot mess. Probably I could see them going offensive line. Maybe I'm seeing some rumblings. Maybe Jalen Mayfield on some mocks. But yeah, I don't see anything really happening over here.
All right, Bobby, Colts at number 21.
Yeah, I love what the Colts did in acquiring Carson Wentz. We know they have one of the best offensive lines in football, and last year especially they really developed that defense. Their defense pretty much is here to stay, and I think they're the best team in that division. They're going to contend in the playoffs. I think they just need another piece on offense. I think they need another skill wide receiver. I'm looking at potentially Rashad Bateman might be there. I think T.Y. Hilton is coming back. They got Paris Campbell coming back as well. He was hurt. There as well, but I think that you add that maybe another receiver out there for Carson Wentz to help him succeed. You're already set in the running game too with Jonathan Taylor. I think this is a well-balanced team. I think this team doesn't have many holes. I think they're ready to contend. I think you just add a little more juice to that team. So I'm looking for an explosive playmaker if I'm the Colts.
All right, so let's move on to the Titans, and Bud, I'm gonna let you talk about the Titans.
I think one of the biggest needs here for them is going to be edge rusher, and I think my boy Jalen Phillips is going to be a great fit there. A lot of mocks have him going there. And he's a super athletic dude. He's a hard worker from assignment with the Hurricanes and working under Hurricanes culture and with Manny Diaz. I think he's going to be a great fit in the Titans defense that actually needs a lot of help. So I think it's a great long-term play and a good home for him. So that's kind of who I think might end up going there.
Yeah, it's a you thing you wouldn't understand. All right. JETS pick number 23. What you got, John?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's really going to depend a lot what's up. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing maybe a small trade of some sort too going up. But saying no trades happen, I think defensive side of the ball is definitely a concern. Still, they did a couple things in free agency. Joe Douglas likes to build in the trenches. D-line is solid. Still need help on the O-line. I'd like to see take a stab at an O-lineman there. Potentially Trevor Jenkins from Oklahoma State. Kid from USC, Vera Tucker as well, super solid. Maybe even a little deeper. You look at Wyatt Davis, Jalen Mayfield from Ohio State and Michigan, respectively.
All right, at number 24, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Where do you see them going, Bobby, and what do you think they need?
Yeah, John just mentioned Vera Tucker, offensive line. I could see them going O-line. They had some guys retire, and their defense, I think, is in good hands as well. But that or running back, there's rumblings of them maybe taking a Najee Harris or Travis Etienne after James Conner going in free agency. They're very pass heavy, and I think especially with Big Ben, probably his last year, they might want to be a little more balanced. And they might be a dark horse as well to trade up for a QB, seeing as how this could pretty well be Big Ben's last year. So I look for them to take Vera Tucker, somebody on the offensive line, would be my best guess if I had to put money on it. And then also maybe even a running back too.
All right, Bud, we have the Jaguars' second pick at number 25. What do they do here?
Oh yeah, we talked about it at the top of the show. I think they could really benefit from getting another good offensive weapon. And I think almost a local hometown hero would be Kadarius Toney. Might be a very good pick to complement the other two guys. And putting all those pieces together is going to give them a firepower offense. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that pick.
All right, number 26, we have the Cleveland Browns finally breaking out and being more than what the Cleveland Browns have been for decades. So, John, where do you see the Browns going with this 26th pick?
I see another edge rusher. Pair him with Myles Garrett. You could see there's a couple people you could go with. Obviously, we talked about Jalen Phillips a little earlier. Joseph Asai from Texas is a solid one. Aziz Ogilari. I always get the crazy names as well. From Georgia. He's a young kid though, sophomore, but I think he's he's actually pretty solid. I like him out of Georgia. But like I said, that team is. I don't know if that was just like a one hit wonder type thing. We'll see what they do with the rest of free agency if they trade anyone away. But I like them going defensive.
All right, so Bobby, let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens at pick number 27.
Yeah, for me, I think first of all the Ravens would be a really good fit for Julio Jones. I think the Ravens just need that true number one receiver to take the next step. In my opinion, I think their defense is solid. Obviously, we know that they run the ball like crazy, and Lamar Jackson's very good on his feet, very dynamic. So I'm looking at a guy, like I mentioned earlier, Rashad Bateman or Terence Marshall at wide receiver for the Ravens here.
All right, so now we have the Saints, end of the Drew Brees era. Bud, where do you think they're going here?
Good question. Anything's possible. I think they're pretty solid on position players. Of course, you have Alvin Kamara and you have Michael Thomas. Hopefully, he can stay healthy for the season. And quarterback's okay. I guess they're rolling with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. I mean, we'll find out in the coming days. But I don't know. I if I had to guess, I think it might go with defense. It is possible that they could go corner because they don't have Janoris Jenkins, and Lattimore just got in trouble. So there's there's no telling, and they're going to their division's pretty stacked with some really good wide receivers. So having the pass protection is going to go a long way. So or pass defense. So they definitely need to stack that up. So I don't know. Maybe Greg Newsom might be a good fit there. Or if they really are feeling adventurous, they can end up going with a linebacker, either Zaven Collins from Tulsa, or maybe even Jamin Davis from Kentucky. But other than that, I don't see or know who they're going to pick. It's kind of dicey.
All right, John, at 29, we have the Packers. Where do you see them going with this?
It's what they should have done last year, and we'll see if they do it this year. Hopefully, they need to get a receiver. Aaron Rodgers needs some help. Twilight of his career. He played great. Obviously, he had a fantastic season last year, regardless. But that was basically only throwing to Devontae Adams and the Towel Boy. Apparently, gotta go receiver. Again, like after those first four, it gets a little dicey. Ronald Moore, he's very undersized and a little young, but I think he's actually pretty solid overall at Purdue. Kadarius Toney, but talked about him a little bit ago. I actually really like Rashad Bateman from Minnesota as well. 6'2", 210. He's pretty decent size. Has a little bit of speed to him as well. Could be a great compliment to Devontae.
All right, Bud. Going back to you with pick number 30. What do you think the Buffalo Bills are going to do right here?
Good guess.
Because they're already so perfect.
Far from perfect. We do need some help in some certain positions, but I'm thinking defense. We talked about Asante Samuel a lot. I am not a Seminoles fan, but some of their players are pretty decent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, especially their corners. So I would not be opposed to that. Just because having him on that defense with. We brought back all of our defensive guys. We brought back Matt Milano, and you got Tremaine Edmonds there. You got Trey White. So, I mean, that would be a great compliment. But I've also read rumblings that they might reach and go for Travis Etienne if he's there. And I mean, having three beast running backs, I'm all for it. I don't care, because that was literally the weakest part of our offense. So let's go. Let's stack it up. So if we're able to get the two-time ACC Player of the Year on our team, I'm all for that. So if that happens, I'm cool with that too. But I would definitely like to see Asante Samuel on the Bills.
All right, we got 2 picks left. Bobby, we have the Ravens at pick 31, I think.
Yeah, they from the trade with Kansas City.
Yeah, that's it.
Which I got fleeced in my opinion, but I mean, they might look to replace Brown with another offensive lineman to protect Lamar Jackson. I could see that making sense. I think the Ravens have to come away with a receiver in at least one of these these 2 picks that they have. So if they don't go receiver 27, there still should be some guys there. Elijah Moore maybe. Bateman might fall. You never know. And then besides that, you can always use another edge rusher. I think their defense is pretty well stacked. They have a very good secondary. A lot of stout veterans up on the D-line. So it won't hurt to go edge rusher as well. So I think best player available out of those positions for the Ravens would make sense.
All right, John, let's close it out at pick number 32. You have the only team to ever win a Super Bowl at their home stadium, the only team to ever come back the next year, or the only Super Bowl team to come back the next year with every single one of their starters. Where do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go with this last pick of the first round?
Hard to say, honestly. There's a lot of places they could go. They could go with another receiver. They franchise Godwin, so you could see another receiver. It ends up they sign him long term, or they get another young receiver upstart. Kadarius Toney, we've talked about for a little bit. It's who a lot of people think might fall a little bit. Like I said, I feel like I've been talking about receivers all day. Terence Marshall out of LSU. Edge rusher is another popular pick as well. Why not? That front seven is beastly. Why not add some more help? Get another young buck in there to help the rotation. Basham Jr. from Wake Forest. Jason Owe from Penn State is another solid one. Then just again, we already talked about how deep corner is even later on at this point. Newsom, Campbell, Kelvin Joseph from Kentucky. Even your kid from UCF, Aaron Robinson. I think he's a lot better than his.
Yeah.
I truly do think he's a lot better than he's ranked. A lot of people have him as like the 48th best prospect. I think he's a lot better than that. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes tail end of round 1 or even like very early round 2. But again, like a lot of options. I do like looking at receiver though.
All right. Someone's doing a disappearing act in our chat right now. I don't know what's going on. I think we lost Bobby. But that wraps up the draft. We went over all 32 picks, managed to fit it within an hour. I know for the actual NFL draft, it's going to take a lot longer than that. But we are not done breaking down with our draft coverage. After the draft, we are going to come up with a new show, and we are going to start talking about the fantasy implications of these players, wherever these quarterbacks land, wherever some of these top elite weapons land, whether it's Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, they could be game-changing. Even these other Alabama guys, the Smith or the Waddles. And then you'll get the running backs like the AT&T guy, I think as Bud was calling it, or NTN, the Antian. There's a lot of names. And Najee Harris, those could be big fantasy contributors. And then you got all these quarterbacks. Where are they going to end up? I know that one of the top dynasty picks for the rookie drafts coming up, everybody's saying to go with Trevor Lawrence. So there are a lot of things to talk about, and we sure will be talking them after this weekend coming up. If you're listening to this right now, it is the day of the draft that we are releasing this. We did record this a couple days early, so if anything changed between then and now, that's the reason why we're not talking about it. The draft order could be completely different by the time you're hearing this, but we wanted to try to get you the best information that we could. And yeah, we are all excited to see what happens. I'm just hoping we get Kyle Pitts. That would be fantastic. Again,
keep dreaming, bro.
Hey, it could happen. I just need more people to try to squeeze for a quarterback early. Just Atlanta has to trade that pick away.
Please.
And Cincinnati just needs to try to protect Joe Burrow, and then maybe, I don't know, one could dream. But that about wraps it up for today's show. I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Bobby's floating head is somewhere around here, and him hopping in and out of here. We have Bud Stanio ready to watch his Buffalo Bills actually not have a top pick in the draft. I bet that actually feels good.
For once, yeah.
Yeah. John with his Jets got a possible future QB coming up. Could be another Sam Darnold. Or it could be another, I guess I can't really say what, maybe Chad Pennington. Yeah, I don't know. And I think you're muted anyways. So, and then Bobby and I, we are going to be watching heavily to see what the Dolphins do with that number 6 pick. So that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the draft. And make sure to tune in for our next episode. We will be announcing when we're going to do that as we talk about the fantasy implications of these players. So once again, thanks for tuning in. For Bud Stanio, John Viveros, Bobby Digital Janis, I'm Kevin K. Mac McCartney, and we will see you on the next show.